All right. Well, welcome everyone. We're on our third session of our TK Parent Nights, and we're really excited to talk to you tonight about learning during the summer months. Um, my name is Michelle Harridge, and I'm a director here with Cupertino. And I also have with me Miss Karen Lyon. Karen, I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
Hi, I am Karen Lyon. I am the TK teacher at DeVargas Elementary. I have been there for 24 years now, and this is my 10th year with TK.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to do tonight is we're going to be going over some some things here that you can be doing this summer with your child to keep the learning going in a really fun, interactive way. So you can see the agenda that we have here. We do have the chat available for you. Karen and I will do our best to be able to answer as we can during the presentation. If we miss it, we'll be able to hop on at the end and answer some there, and we'll also have some time for questions at the end. So feel free to ask then as well. So we'll go ahead and we're going to jump right in. On our first two parent nights, we had some opportunities to learn a little bit about brain development of the young child. So we wanted to make that connection to those other parent nights and follow up and connect that to what we're doing tonight. So these early years are really a very fast moving period of development, brain development for the child. What we're going to be kind of looking at tonight is why play and interactive exploratory play is really important for children. And looking at the brain here, we're going to talk a little bit about why. So if you see this diagram here, we have kind of our prefrontal cortex. That's what we need to be able to access to do our learning. That has all of those components in there with being able to reason, to problem solve, even when it comes down to our impulse control, all of those kinds of things are all in there, that executive functioning that happens when we're able to access that part of our brain. That middle section there, the limbic, emotion, relational brain, that is more of our feeling section, our attachments to people, friendships. And then, of course, we have that amygdala part. Well, that's our alarm system. That's saying, uh-oh, something's going on. It affects your heart rate, your perspiration, your body temperature, all of those types of things. When you are in that part of your brain, you're not up here accessing your logical thought and your learning. So in a classroom setting, of course, we want our children to be able to be accessing that learning part of the brain. I would just, while we're on here, you'll see on some of these slides, Dr. Julie Nicholson, she was able to share these slides with us and share this at the first couple of meetings. And so we're kind of, that's what we're using to go over these again. So why is this important? As you start accessing that amygdala alarm part of your brain, and the more stressors that you have, you start heading that direction. You start going up this arousal staircase. So you're at the bottom, when everything's calm, you're able to access your learning, you're able to access academics, relationships with friends. As you get more stressed, you're less able to access. So you can see kind of this staircase that happens of arousal, where you're moving from your cortex limbic system down to your brainstem, the more stressed that you become. So what we want to be able to do is to not go up that staircase. Some of the things that cause us to go up as people and as young children will be things that are unfamiliar or unpredictable to us. When you lack that agency yourself to be able to make choice and decisions, and somebody else is making that for you. And loneliness, maybe feeling alone and not how to interact with people. Those types of things all cause that stress response, which therefore will cause children to have a harder time accessing the learning piece. So what we're trying to do in a TK setting, and what we're going to demonstrate tonight for things to do at home, is how do we keep kids in that safe space where they feel comfortable, safe to take risks, and learning can occur? And one of those is with relationships and safety as well. We know that children learn actively. They need to get their hands in doing things. When their social and emotional needs are met. So that happens at home through your family, at school through trusted teachers and other adults. And when you think about the learning, the more meaningful it is to them, the better opportunity they have to learn that information. One of the things that is really important for young children is the process of doing. So when you think of learning something, there's the process, and there can be a product too, something at the end. For young children, and I would even argue for older children, maybe even our age, the more we can be involved in process and really participating and not worried what the outcome is going to be or look like, the more meaningful it is and the more opportunities you have to learn, to express, and to experience. So that's a really important thing. Karen?
Yeah, I was going to jump in and say that one of the things that we especially emphasize at my school, because we have a STEM focus, is that making mistakes is not a bad thing, and that doing something the first time is never going to be perfect. And so getting the kids to practice doing something and redo things is what helps them learn it permanently, but also it helps them to get better. So helping them to know that it's okay that they don't get it quote unquote right the first time, but that they learned how to do something new is always a good thing. And you can also model that at home, like when you're doing anything like cooking or baking, and it doesn't come out the way you want to, then you just go back and try again, and you just say, but I'm learning how to make bread, I'm learning how to bake a cake, whatever that is. They understand then that learning is not an instant thing, that you don't do it once and you've learned it, that it is an ongoing journey, basically, for a lot of things. And then they're not so worried about failing, but they want to try again and do it better. So that's kind of what we emphasize, at least at our school and in my classroom. So just to keep that in mind.
Yeah, really being able to problem solve as you're trying things out, and maybe coming to a conclusion that was different than maybe we might have come up for them. So thank you. The other part is that all of our children are coming, with unique backgrounds, different needs, and all of that influences their learning as well. And so the more opportunities we have for them to explore in a way that works for them, the more they're able to capture and learn. When we think about play and what we want to do, why is it important and what are the benefits? So many things. So you think of your healthy brain and body, imagination. They've done so, I've seen different research here and there on imagination and how young children have such strong imaginations and can really play, and that can be lost over time. And you start really trying to conform a little bit more and not use your imagination as much. And we really want to capitalize on allowing children to keep working on that imagination. And you think of some of the most incredible things that have been discovered or invented along the way really comes from people who can think outside the box and use their imagination. Play allows for children to take different perspectives. They can do play between each other. They play with you. They made you kind of that dramatic play. You be the mommy and I'll be the baby, or you be the baby and I'll be the mommy. And they start learning to take that perspective of other people by doing that. All the problem solving that Karen was just sharing, that creativity, and really learning when things don't work out, as she was describing, that I can regulate my feelings with that, and I can work through that because I know I'm working on it. I'm going to try it a new way. So you really start working on the regulating of feelings as well. And then you think of a lot of the academic content that happens, math, science, language, vocabulary, all of those types of things are all included in play, and children naturally start gaining those skills. The other part of that would be, at the end there, you see healing trauma, managing anxiety, and a real play-based type environment, whether that's at home in the summertime, whether that's at school. It really allows children to work out some of those things on their mind. Maybe it's a fight they had with a friend, or a disagreement about a toy and who had it first. All of those things that cause stressors that we were talking about. Play is a really good way to work those types of things out. So many different benefits of play. So what we're going to do is, kind of with all of that in mind, we're going to think about what can happen during the summer to continue learning, but learning through play. So we'll be looking at some different ways we can incorporate areas such as science, math, language arts, social development, movement, all of those types of things that can really create a very rich summer environment for your child. So I'm going to pass this to Karen for a minute.
So when you're going into the summer and you're thinking about the kinds of things you would like to do with your kids, planning would include some of the things that you may already do, but it also may include some things that your child needs, such as downtime. And downtime can be as simple as sitting at the window or sitting outside and watching people go up and down the street while they're sipping and a sippy drink and sipping a juice and eating goldfish crackers, petting the cat or the dog. Just basically being quiet and kind of introspective and just relaxing and being peaceful. That's kind of downtime. Nothing's really going on. They're kind of just being within themselves. Unstructured play would be coming up to you and saying, let's have a tea party. Going outside and playing catch with their brother, their sister, or with the dog, digging in the sandbox at the park, playing on the monkey bars. Structured activities would be, for example, if you have them in a club, or they're in dance, if they're on a soccer team, any of those kinds of things, as well as the kinds of things that you say, let's do this with a specific idea of, I want them to learn about this thing. And so then you come up with an idea of, we're going to, go to the museum and look at all the dinosaurs or whatever that would be, and then talk about them and learn about things. Reading would be, if they can read, because I know some of the TK kids are already reading, if they can read by themselves, reading with a brother or sister, a grandmother, having that bedtime story or 3 that they get. And just either nonfiction or fiction, getting all of that vocabulary, talking to them about the sequence of events, about how the characters feel, making connections, especially with books where the kids come into situations where they've been and they get upset and they can relate to it. And you talk about, well, how did that make you feel? How do you think they feel? And then rest, naps, lots of sleep. All of those, as we know, that's really good for our body. Naps are a great thing, even for adults. And so, giving them a chance just to, get some sleep and rest and grow, because they are growing and they need a lot of rest to be able to do that as well.
So outdoor learning, so many fun things to do, right? And sometimes we think of, the playground, which are all fun, a lot of fun things to do in a playground. Sometimes you may have a yard or a grass area near where you live, or, an area that's conducive. And we have some of those outdoor things we think of, playing sports and those types of things. But you can also take some indoor activities such as books and take them outdoors and make something fun with that as well. Just like Karen was saying about reading, it's so important, such an important thing to be doing with your child, whether you're reading with them, they're exploring books on their own, with a sibling, with a pet. But outside can be such a beautiful time to pick up a book, sit on the grass, maybe a little blanket or a chair, and really explore some outdoor time with reading. The picture on the right
You froze
here.
up.
What's that? I'm sorry, Karen.
Oops.
Okay.
What happened?
The picture on the right there is of some rock painting. You may have some rocks nearby. These are ones that were done by some young children here in Cupertino to celebrate our Teacher Appreciation Week. And so the kids collected some rocks, painted some, whatever they wanted on the rock, and then gave them to their teachers for a gift. So some other fun things to do. One of the things here is that's fun to do are nature walks. We have a lot of beautiful areas around here. We're so lucky with our environment. It doesn't take much to get to some water, some beautiful trees, or even in our neighborhood with beautiful plants, flowers, all kinds of things to go and see. So think about maybe taking some nature walks over the summer. You can bring paper, pens, crayons, things like that, something they can draw on, maybe even a little clipboard or a little notebook, a digital camera and or like your phone, right? That can also work, something like that. Take photos of interesting things as you go along your walk. One of the fun ideas with that is if you take some photos, you can actually print those out next time and make a scavenger hunt out of those. I wonder if we can find this again. I wonder where this was, and get them to start thinking about what they saw previously and see if they can find it again. And then magnifying glasses are really fun. They have a lot of really safe ones with plastic, so you don't have to worry about the glass breaking, but whatever you have works. So you can get really up close and personal. If you can't, once again, the fabulous phone allows you to zoom in and see things. I know for me, like sometimes I'll take kids and we can actually see like the aphids on the flowers, and you can't see them that well with your naked eye, but if you blow them up, you can see it, or those real fine details inside of flowers and plants. So those are some fun things to bring along on your walk. This will be posted, by the way, and there's a link you'll see for NAEYC, that's National Association for the Education of Young Children. And there's a lot of great resources on there as well. And that's part of where we found some of these ideas. So just something for you to look at later on. So nature walks, so many beautiful times. Some of you might be morning people, some of you might enjoy the evening, maybe some both. But if you can try different times of the day, it really brings a rich environment to the children. You can see here a little sun shining through the trees that you might see as the sun's setting. You may see some beautiful things in the morning. And also interesting is if you take a morning and afternoon walk, you can see which direction the plants are pointing, because they do like to follow the sun, and that's interesting for children to notice as well. But so many questions. So when we're thinking, we're learning, but we're also having fun. When you're asking them, oh, well, what did you see this time? Is there something different today? Or what do you think about this plant? They're observing, they're comparing, they're, looking at, differences, playing I Spy. Who doesn't like to play I Spy? Everybody likes to play I Spy. I Spy with my little eye, and help them. Not only can you give clues and they have to figure it out, but then they can give clues to you while they're in both of those. They're being able to observe differently, observe using language to describe it, and then understanding the language and being able to find those things. And you can really tailor that to your child's development and what kind of observation skills they're able to do at that point. And then really talking about your senses and using the language. Children develop quite a bit of vocabulary and language through conversations with adults and through books. And so this is such a wonderful way to really boost your child's vocabulary, is just using the words in conversation, pointing things out as you see them. So many fun things to do with those nature walks. When you're going on your walks, a couple of things to keep in mind. Really kind of look at the wonder of what's out there. Be open to kind of seeing those really small details. Currently for me at my home right now, there's a lot of those on the trees. The lighter green needles on the end of, like, say, the cedar or the pine are starting to show through a little bit more, and the darker ones here because it's new growth. Really fun things, small detail that children might not notice unless they really get in there and find it. The other thing is those electronic toys. They're
Losing you again.
and your company, which is another huge benefit, is spending that valuable time with you as a family. The other piece is allowing enough time to explore. Sometimes when we think of walks, we're kind of going quickly around a loop, or we're going around the block. Sometimes a shorter walk, but with more time to explore, does more for them as far as really getting in there and being able to observe, to notice, and to learn. So kind of keep those things in mind as you are, you're going through and spending time outdoors together. And next is animals, bugs, and insects.
Yes, so this is my turn. So one of the things that you can do, and you don't even have to go very far, you could go into your backyard to the nearest park, is to examine all those little non-poisonous spiders, the roly-polies, the worms, any non-stinging insect that you can get near. I know I personally have a container garden out in front, and so I have lots of bugs and spiders all the time. And in fact, I came home one time and there was a lizard hanging off my door. That was interesting. So I was opening the door the other day and there's a teeny, teeny, teeny spider right near the door. And so that happens all the time. So again, be open to that. If your kid notices it, you can stop and look. Use that that magnifying glass or the magnifying app on your phone. Um, and notice, just talk about it and notice how they move. Notice how many legs they have. Talk about their body parts. Compare them to other insects, antenna, wings, how long their legs are, any of that. And again, be open to the fact that it's going to take a while. When my niece was little, and she was only 2, but when my niece was little, there were a lot of sow bugs and pill bugs near in this wall by her driveway. And she had to see them every time we left, and every time we came back. Drove my poor mother crazy because, she wanted to get somewhere. And she once said she doesn't need to see them every time. And I said, yes, Mom, she does. Because that's how she feels. They're fascinated by this stuff. We're used to it. So kind of give them time to do that. The other thing you can do is animals in your neighborhood as you're walking around. Talk with them about what they're doing, what they look like. Are they furry, big, little, small? Do they have short legs, long legs, short tails, long tails? What are their ears like? Do they bark loudly? Are they making noise? Are the squirrels and the birds in the trees or on the ground? And near my apartment, they're on the ground often or on the ledge, and driving my cat crazy. They're hopping around all over the place. In my school, the kids are always on the lookout for the lizards. They're always hunting for the lizards, and talking about what they look like, because we have a lot of lizards around that are probably eating the bugs. Do you notice if the cats are sitting in the window or if they're outside climbing trees? I know the kids in my apartment building are always noticing my cat, who's either in the window or in her cat tree, looking around. Another thing you can do is to connect with the world, especially of birds, is to view a live cam. There's lots of live cams on lots of animals. One of the ones that's famous for us is the peregrine falcons that live in downtown San Jose that are being protected. And so the link for that, I actually clicked on it. It's kind of cool because the babies are still little. So there's the link for that. So watching those is a lot of fun too. So anything like that connects them with the natural world. One of the things that I did want to say is that they will want to pick them up. And I know some of us are, it depends on what it is. I'm okay with some things and not with others. I had a sister-in-law that she could not. And her oldest son was very much like her, and his younger brothers were always picking things up, and edging them out. So they will want to pick them up. This is a great opportunity to show them how to be gentle and respectful towards living things, and teaching them not to squish them, not to step on them. These pictures here are of an incident when we were coming in from lunch, and we had a bunch of praying mantises around for some reason or another. And this was the second one that I rescued that day, actually. And I said, no, we're not squishing it. My aide helped capture it. So you can put it in a container. You can keep, if if you want to keep it for a little while, you can do that because they will hang out in a container for a little bit. Ladybugs, actually, you can put stones and sticks and grass and you can watch them for a few days. That's kind of fun. And then make sure that you release it and let them know that this is what you do, because they're not supposed to be with us. They're supposed to be out. Let it fly off or find its home. And they loved it. They got a chance to see the legs and the whole and the eyes, which are fascinating, and the antenna. And then we went and put it in the grass near our room and watched it crawl around for a little bit and let it go. So that's another thing that you can do.
One thing I'll add in there too is for those of, I'll just say us, because I'm one of them. My daughter was a big bug person. She'd want to sit outside all day and collect all the bugs and the worms and the whole thing. Me, not so much. I liked looking at them, but they do have like little tongy things that you can kind of use. So if you don't really want to touch or whatever, but it still provides that opportunity to view the world, view the insect world, learn about their body parts, learn how they move, what they eat, what their environment looks like, all those life science concepts, plus the compassion and the care and all of that of another living thing. But you can use those other kind of things. So maybe you guys already have stuff like that. I know for me, that was something that helped me. My daughter didn't care, but I was a little bit squeamish. Okay.
So here's another thing that is great for kids to do is to either set up a garden or do some kind of planting. This is an activity that I do every year with my kids in the springtime when we talk about the plant life cycle. And there's a video that I show that goes with it. It's germinating bean seeds, and it's very simple. A sandwich bag with Ziploc, because that'll keep the paper towel wet. You put a wet paper towel in there with a few bean seeds. We did kidneys this time, I think. And then you can put it in the window, or you can just sit it on a counter near a window and just watch it germinate. And it's fascinating. I never get tired of watching it because it is very cool to see it. And then when it gets big enough to plant, then you can plant it in a cup. You can plant it in your garden. These are pictures from some of the photojournals that my kids did when we did it this year. And they really did have a great time watching them grow. And then bean plants can grow and they grow for a long time and grow really high. So this is one example of doing gardening. On the next slide, there's a couple more.
Right. And I'll just add in, I love that you said the photo journal. So when we were talking about like capturing things, and we were also talking about reading and connecting science with meaningful context. So what a meaningful activity to be able to grow a bean or a seed from scratch, have a photo journal. We know that at this age, writing skills may not be able to keep up with what they can actually think about and do. So here's an opportunity to be able to do that. You could even have your child dictate what was happening, and you could write for them. And then you can put that together in a type of book for them to read back over and over again. And it will be high interest because it was something that they did on their own.
Yeah, and one of the things that some of you may know, that if you have the photos on Apple, the photo app, in answer to your question, they're kidney beans. You can make it into a video, because I just did that for open house. And so you can download it as a slideshow, and then you can turn it into a video on YouTube, which is very cool. I have an app with one of my classes where what they did is they talked about what was their favorite part on their photojournal. They talked about either watching it grow or putting in the dirt. And so that it's one of my favorite activities, and it really is a lot of fun for the kids.
Yes, super rich learning experience.
Yes, it absolutely is. Here on this, there's a couple of websites at the bottom of these pictures. This is using food scraps so that new food grows from them. One of my old principals said that he did the romaine lettuce with his daughter. They just took leaves and they did something with them and they grew lettuce. And he said it was really easy. And for his daughter, it was an amazing experience. You can use, I found from the first website, you can use lettuce, celery, sweet potatoes. What We Do All Day has a whole bunch of links also on doing things like green onions and more. And not only is this a great way to watch food grow, it's also another way to teach kids that you don't necessarily have to throw it away. We can grow more food this way and watch that process. And it becomes really, really interesting. Sometimes it's a long process, but then you teach them. Some things take a little bit of time. The bean seeds grow in a few days. The lettuce and the other things, that's going to take a while. And you can talk about how farmers work and when they plant it and how long they have to wait. And there's a lot of other really great connections you can make with that. And then going along with that, this is from another website that I found. You can make greenhouses. So if you ever go down the 101 and you see all of those greenhouses that are there in the agricultural area going towards Monterey, because I have an aunt that lives in Monterey, so I go down there often. If you see any of these, then your kids are asking you, what is that for? Here's a connection. And you can use recyclables. The egg carton greenhouses just use old egg cartons with a little bit of dirt and maybe grass seeds, and then you cover it up with plastic. The soda bottle greenhouse, you can use the old soda bottle. You can also use a soda bottle, just cut off the top and put it over a regular planter, and that can be a greenhouse. And they can see how the water comes up and condenses and then comes back down, and how it keeps the plant warm. There's the clamshell greenhouse. If you don't do soda bottles, if you get food in the clamshells, there's another way to do that. And it's also teaching them that we can recycle too. So very, very environmentally friendly and fun ways to do planting and gardening. That does not take up a lot of space. If you're like me and live in an apartment and you don't have a lot of space, this will work.
And here are just a few examples of books that you can, check out from the library, go to the bookstore. You can also find, I think, all of these on YouTube as well that are either read or the book shows through. So there's so many different really wonderful books out there that kind of take you through different parts of nature. So here's just a handful for you to look at. But you can Google, you can go to some of the child-friendly websites. You have like First Five California, the NAEYC website, all kinds of really nice websites to be able to find resources like this.
Okay, so I tried to make the font bigger on this. I'm sorry, it didn't work. But now we're going to more outdoor games. And there are things like obstacle courses. So you can use pool noodles, hula hoops, boxes. Somebody suggested like the low stools, like you put them by the sink so they can stand up and wash their hands and they can jump over. If you have PVC pipe laying around, you can use that and stick it in the ground. And you basically create an obstacle course where they can climb under things, go around things, jump over things. You can have them throw water balloons into a bucket as a modified cornhole game, which is a lot of fun, especially if it gets hot. And, of course, they'll try to bust open the balloon, but that's okay too. You can go out on the sidewalk and use chalk to draw lines that are straight, zigzaggy, wavy, spiral, and have them jump, hop, walk sideways while they're staying on the line, walk on their tiptoes. Another idea is to draw colored circles, draw chalk circles or squares in different colors. You could also do different shapes. Play some music on your phone, or if you have, you can take your iPad out there and play some music. And then when the music stops, they have to tell you what the color is and tell you something that's connected to that color. Like, your car is black. Their bedspread is red. The potato chip box is a circle or a cylinder, or the tissue box is a rectangle, whatever it is that you want them to focus on. And then for small motor activities, this is another really fun one. Just give them a small bucket, a paintbrush, take them outside and they can paint on the wall. Just draw a picture, paint a picture on the sidewalk. It goes away eventually, but if they mess up, they can just start over again. And it's as much fun as drawing with chalk and much less messier. And you don't have to worry about spraying it off later when they're done. So those are some ideas. The next slide will show you pictures. So these were borrowed from the websites where I got these ideas. So you can see that the little boy is jumping into the hula hoops, climbing under the pool noodles that are bent and put into the grass. And then there's the kids that are doing the musical squares game with the colors and the throwing the water balloon, and then a picture of someone who's using paintbrushes. And you can use any paintbrushes. You don't have to have like the painter's brush. You can see that you can use any size you like.
Then moving indoors, sometimes it's hot or sometimes we just want to go inside for a while. So scavenger hunts are fun things to do inside that also really connect learning with play and something fun to do. So here are two different scavenger hunts. You can make any kind of scavenger hunt you want. You can do it by taking pictures in your house. You can have your child create one for you. You can create one for them. But it's something as simple as I went and found something red. I found something blue, whatever toys or objects you have around your house. So it's a really fun way to be able to, play a game, interact, and you can make this as challenging or not challenging as you want. It could be silly. It could be academic. There's also just so many things you can do with things that are already just at your house all the time. You always have some type of food item. You have some different types potentially of eating utensils or other types of tools at your house. You have, socks and clothing, all kinds of different things. And when you really look at those, there are so many different things you can do with them. So with some of these examples, you'll see there's some sorting that's happened. You can put all of the same types of foods together. You can order them by size or weight or height, all kinds of different ways that you can order them. You can sort silverware, but you can also say something like, oh, Grandma and Grandpa are coming over for dinner tonight with us. How many forks are we going to need tonight? And have them set the table and count and add in those extra people that are coming and make sure that the table's set for the right number of people. So there's so many things that you can do just as a natural part of your daily family activities that are also really promoting that learning, giving them some confidence and independence to figure things out on their own, and are a lot of fun. There are some other things that you can do with materials. I don't know about you, but I tend to get boxes at my door, usually from Amazon or such. Use those boxes for fun, and when they're done and destroyed, you can recycle and do what you're going to do with those. But here's an activity that some children did in a classroom where all that was brought in were some boxes, and they cut a little hole in, and the children started drawing on it, playing with it, and creating a whole play environment with that, which of course then involves some social development, social play, creativity, problem solving. So many different things went into the creation of that. You see a dish pan over there where we're doing a sink and a float. Some objects, sometimes children think it's size that makes them sink versus weight. So all of these discoveries that they make as you try different objects and understand what's buoyant and what isn't. And then I love the mess-free paint bag. So all you need is a closable bag, like a Ziploc of some sort, and some paint. You can have all the fun with paint without all the mess of paint. Now, I'm not suggesting you don't paint, but also, but sometimes you want to do something different. So all you need to do with this mess-free paint bag is you get a nice gallon-sized Ziploc, could be any size. You put a couple of different kinds of paint in there and you zip it shut. You may want to tape it for extra measure. And then the children are able to get in there and swirl the colors around, see how they blend, make pictures out of it. They can draw their name in it. So they can draw pictures in the paint, and they can just wipe it clean, almost like an Etch-a-Sketch. You wipe it clean and you can start over again. The fun thing with this is you can also tape it to a window and kind of make a little stained glass effect. All kinds of fun things that you can do with the paint bags. You can also do some color blending with other things, watercolors, you know, you can even do some things with food that have natural dyes in them and experiment that way when you're looking at colors and blending and using natural products that you already have in your house. And oh, whoop, there we go. There we go. We're right to the end there. So, you know, what we're hoping tonight is that you can kind of think about your child's summer in a really fun, exploratory way that provides really meaningful, rich opportunities for exploring and interacting with you, bonding, with just really deep learning that takes place with that child's initiative, with their interests. And if we go back to the very beginning when we're talking about being in a state where you can really access your learning, all of these types of things are low stress, low arousal. So they don't get, you know, they don't kind of bump children up into a stress response. There's lots of time for exploring and doing things kind of through their eyes. And so we'd love to open it up if you have any questions or comments, anything you'd like to share.
You're welcome. Our pleasure. We had fun with this.
We did have fun.
We did. We had fun. We had fun putting this together. Probably could have done a whole lot more.
Yes.
Oh, hello. How are you? You're
Great.
very welcome. I'm glad you found it, that it was worthwhile.
And just throwing it out there, another fun thing to do over the summer is check your local library too. They sometimes have story times or times that you can go in and have your child kind of explore the different types of books where you're not necessarily, and I do it at bookstores too. I mean, you can do it either if you're just exploring books, but libraries are, to me, a super special place and it's full of wonder and adventure. And so that you can check your local library to see what kinds of things are going on there too.
And, you know, and I will add, and because I'm one of those, I'm like Michelle, I've been a reader all my life and love libraries. And also because I've done a lot of different teaching, like in the summer, I have library cards for almost every system in the valley. And so you don't really need to be in that neighborhood. You can go in and get a library card anywhere, and then they will send you emails for the things that they do. So I get emails from Sunnyvale and from Santa Clara City, and they do some awesome things with young children and even the older children. So if you're interested in that, just go get a library card. Even if you never use it, they will still send you emails and let you know what's going on. And then since you have a library card, they'll let you in. So
Yes,
they're great places to go to, even if you just use it for that.
Yeah. Any other
comments, questions?
Or maybe an idea. Maybe you have a fun idea you've done that somebody else would love to hear about.
I had a question, just beyond, you know, reading and visiting the library and things like that. Do you have any other like pre-reading suggestions for things to do to the summer to set them up for, you know, starting to learn to read in kindergarten?
One of the things that I was thinking about was, like, in terms of a scavenger hunt, you could put a scavenger hunt together where you're asking them to go around the house and look for something that starts with a certain sound. Like, go find something in your room that starts with the B sound. Go find something in your room that starts with the P sound. So that would be something like pajamas, or something that starts with the D sound, or J, like jeans. You can also, when you're in the grocery store, you can do the same kind of thing. You can say, you know, you can have them look at things and say, okay, I'm looking for milk. Can you help me find the thing that has the letter M? And have them notice that, or juice, you know, cranberry juice, that kind of thing, so that they're making that connection between the letters and the sounds and real life objects, because that's what they will do in kindergarten. They'll talk about, what do you know starts with this sound.
And I love what you're sharing, Karen, because one of those key elements in foundational reading skills is being able to hear the sounds of the language. And so being able to identify all of the sounds, and some children may be learning sounds in 2 languages, great. Use your primary language. If it's other than English, use English if that is your primary language, but really being able to hear and understand. So you can do fun rhyming games. You can do, I love the finding the initial sound. That's so important for them to be able to find it. So, you know, be able to hear it and know that that is the first sound. All of those, it's called a phonological awareness. And that is key to reading. Very.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle.
Yeah, go ahead.
And you know, if they're really good at that, then you can say, okay, go find 2 things, because then also knowing that those 2 things start with the same sound. Michelle, talking about rhyming, there's a game I play with my kids called Willoughby Wallaby Woo. And you say, Willoughby Wallaby Woo, an elephant sat on you. Willoughby Wallaby Wee, an elephant sat on me. And then you do things like Willoughby Wallaby Wiger, an elephant sat on a
Tiger.
And what I do too with my kids, and you can do this with yours, is that in order for them to get it, I do my kids' names. Like I'll say, okay, Willoughby Wallaby wasted an elephant, and they'll say Jason, and elephant sat on Jason, because they can hear it. So you can start with Willoughby Wallaby Grandma, an elephant sat on Grandma. Willoughby Wallaby Waddy, an elephant sat on Daddy. So they start to hear it, because rhyming is really hard when we're little. It's not an easy thing. And so the more practice they get with that, when they get into kindergarten, the easier that will be when they start doing word families and rhyming words. They'll hear that. And it's a fun one because it's silly and it's fun. You can make, you can get as silly as you want. And you don't have to do the wah sound. You can do the Willoughby Wallaby Biger, and they have to, figure out what rhymes with that. So that's another idea that we do. That's a lot. I really enjoy it. And so do the kids.
Yeah, thank you for asking that.
Any other?
Okay, so with that, what we're going to do is this night will be up on our website to be able to view at some point, hopefully here in the next week or 2. And please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you may have. You can find the TK. You can find me on the TK website. It's under, if you go on CUSDK8.org and go under teaching and learning, that's where you'll see TK. And so you can find a lot of information on there. Some of you may have used that to get here. I don't know, but it is a resource, but that's where we will put this. We also are adding frequently asked questions and that sort of thing too. But we also, wish all of you a wonderful kind of jump into kindergarten next year. And we know that it's going to be a wonderful year, and we're wishing you a great summer leading into that, hopefully with lots of fun experiences for your whole family to do together. So we thank you very much for coming tonight and spending your time with us.